Hi everyone, this is Jerry King, and I'm back with another segment, and this is going to be on four pillars of destiny and rivals. I'm gonna just trying to keep this short. But yeah, the topic of rivals, rivalries, and competition, how it affects the chart. Uh, a lot of people are always constantly asking me questions about this. I've also written a lot about this topic in my books, so you can refer to my books as well. Um, well, just go down here right now. So basically, how do we identify the rivals? It is the same element as the self, and you have to also remember the branches. So the branches, you have to try and memorize them. It shouldn't be too hard anyways. But in terms of Daymaster, so let's say you are a Jia or a Yi, so the wood self. These are your rivals. So your Jia and a Yi. So this is very simple, straightforward. So if you're Bing or Ding, and then your Bing or Ding is your rival, and so on and so forth. And then what we have here is in the Earth branches. So let's say you are a Jia Daymaster, and you see a tiger, the Yin, anywhere along the branches, could be in the year branch, month, day, or uh, hour. This would represent your rival, like, or it could be called a hidden rival. Okay. And the same if you're a Jia and you run into, let's say, a Mao, the rabbit. So it could be the rabbit year, rabbit month, or the rabbit day. That's considered one of your key rivals, more problematic rival, I would say. And the same goes with, for example, if you have a gung metal, the yang metal, and then you run into, let's say, a rooster. If you have a rooster in your year or month, it could also lead to problems. So, what kind of problems? I'm trying to be more neutral about it, not trying to say that, oh, everything's going to be bad. It could also be good as well, right? So we're trying to keep an open mind in terms of what this rival does. So the rival in general can cause problems such as um because it is a competition, it can lead to, for example, affairs. So let's say if you're a female and you're a gung metal and then you have a rooster somewhere, like let's say in the year or the month, it's possible that this is a hidden rival which can take away your partner. So if you're dating someone and suddenly there's a competition, there's another woman out there that can take away your partner, right? There's a very high possibility of that happening as well. Um, and for example, if you're a yang water self, the ren, and then you see a rat, let's say not even in your chart, but we see it in your luck cycle. It's also possible that during that period you run into competition where it's possible that the spouse may run off with someone else. These are just some hypothetical situations that can happen. Um, we're looking at like the technicalities behind what can transpire when you encounter these symbols. It doesn't mean that, oh, it's going to happen, because everyone's going to eventually encounter a rival in their either in their chart or in their luck cycle or in the year. So for example, this is a rabbit year, right? So you're a yang, let's say you're a yang with self, the jia, and you run into a rabbit. And it's like you could end up freaking out just because you hear this and you say, oh no, there's a competition coming in and the rivals coming in, and then now suddenly you're freaking out. So yeah, you got to maintain a much calmer approach when you're looking at a chart and say, okay, we're going to see this. What can I do to mitigate the situation, right? There's obviously there's so many different types of remedies that I'm not going to discuss about here. Possibly in the future, I could talk a little bit more about that. But what I want to focus on right now is, okay, so we have these rivals. What else can they do? So, for example, if you run a business, it's also possible that, running into a rabbit can lead to loss of wealth. There's a high possibility of that happening as well. So things to consider. Um, Also the intensity of the rival, the strength of the rival. Obviously, if it's in the branches, like, well, let's say the rabbit, obviously it's more powerful because it is rooted. If you have like the yin wood on top of the rabbit, it becomes rooted, and then the rival becomes much more powerful. Um, so what it also does is it can lead to a lack of um, sense of security. So people become fearful. You're always judging others as well. You're afraid, so you're always trying to argue. Like me as a teacher of this subject matter, oh, when I see charts like that, you know that they're gonna disagree with you all the time. They'll find ways to disagree with you. They might actually try to put you down and do certain things. They can actually like say that, oh, you're saying all this doesn't make sense, and and whatever you're teaching is garbage, whatever. Like it can go as extreme as that, right? Like people can start attacking you. These are people who have rivals that always like to fight, right? So it's sometimes it's very hard for like whatever whenever you hang out with these people, sometimes it's very hard to discuss things with these people because they are constantly in an argumentative state. And the more like obviously like I teach this, I run into a lot of people. Like it's easier for me to just maintain a state of calmness because I've seen this so many times where people would just come out with their own theories or come out with their own answers to certain questions. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be subject of Chinese metaphysics. It could be anything. It could be related to finance. It could be related to stocks. Why these people constantly argue and thinking that they're right, but most of the time they end up being wrong because the robbery is right next to them. So let's say if they're trying to argue with you regarding a stock that you're trying to pick, right? And they end up losing because they end up making the wrong decision. So they're insecure. So when things go up, they start chasing. When things start going down, they start freaking out. So they panic sell. So these are the types of people that will buy high and sell low. So if you actually know people like that, you can do the opposite of what they're doing. And at the end of the day, when you're making the money, you can take them out for coffee and say thanks or whatever, but you don't actually tell them that, oh, I'm going the opposite of whatever you're doing, right? So yeah, whenever people have a lot of rivals in their chart, it becomes problematic, and you end up with arguments. Loss of wealth is very common. Loss of a spouse or just seeing your partner having an affair. That's also a very common result of having rivals either in the chart or coming in from the year or the cycle. So this is very easy, very simple to remember. Earth has more, right? You got the Chen Shu Wei Chou, so the dragon, dog, goat, and ox. These are your hidden rivals. Okay. Okay, yeah, what can happen? As I mentioned, robbery, affairs, and insecurity. You just got to remember that these people are often insecure, but the more rivals they have, the more insecure they could become, right? And then they can also be very judgmental as well. Um, just liking to disagree, these people. There a lot of people obviously may have this. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that, oh, you're going to be disagreeing with everything. It depends because there are remedies within the chart. So let's say if you have the output element, which is next to your rival or is on top of your rival, that helps, right? That helps, and it does reduce the intensity, it reduce the intensity of the insecurity, right? It does reduce that. So we can't just, I can't just be like looking at a chart and say, oh, you got a rival, so I don't want to talk to you. You're a problem. No, I can't do that. You got to look at whether they have other um, remedies involved in their chart. For example, I just mentioned the output element. Okay, so I have here a couple of examples. this one right here, the male chart. So what we see here is there's no rivals on top. So this is a yang metal, but what he does have is a couple of monkeys. So it is hidden. It makes him insecure. However, this monkey can also flip and become water, right? If a rat or a dragon shows up. Well, the dragon can also clash the dog, but hypothetically speaking, let's say the dragon combines with the monkey, that might be good. It may reduce the power of the metal. So we could look at it and say, from a timeline perspective, like if you're in a luck cycle where you're in a rat period, it's possible that during this period, everything will be going smoothly, right? He'll become less argumentative. This person will be more trusting of others. And when you're trusting of others and you're in a good cycle, so the water can actually lead to good luck, because the water also can grow his wealth, which is wood. I don't have his hour here, but let's say he's in a water cycle where there's a lot of wood. Let's say he's in a rat cycle and then suddenly he runs into a wood tiger, a wood rabbit deer, right? That period of time, he might be making a lot of money and he might have people that he can trust, right? Whereas when you're in a, let's say, a rooster cycle, suddenly you have a rooster, monkey, and a dog, so you have a complete directional combination. That metal becomes strong, and now he could become more defensive, more stubborn, right? Could be very offensive to others. However, it really depends, right? Can he become a dominant self? Because dominant charts do like to see more rivals. They like fighting, right? They like fighting. So it really depends on the classification. Um, but having said that, if we're just only looking at the rivals, um, obviously we won't be able to see, oh, what the classification is. But we have to look at both um topics of like whether the classification on a chart, and we have to also look at what they have in the chart as well. So let's say I identify the chart as following the flow of water. We still have to see, oh, okay, how do these rivals come into play? How does it affect the chart, right? So we can't just classify and say, oh, okay, that's it, my job's done. No, you have to look at, okay, what are the rivals? How do they affect the chart? Are there output element, wealth element, so on and so forth? Okay. I have a female's chart here. This one, a crazier one, a crazier example, because this one, her husband, or I should just call it her ex, left her for another woman. This is very obvious. This is very highly possible. So first off, all this earth makes her her expectations very high, very demanding. And then after that, she's got a hidden fire in the goat. Although this goat combines with a rabbit, there's still hidden fire, and then there's a entire fire pillar in the hour. So it's possible that her spouse can leave her for someone much younger. This is shown in the hour pillar, right? So we could, when we look at a chart, we want to identify the flow too. The flow, this one's a mixing flow. I mean, there's wood involved and there's a lot of earth as well, right? So it could be a combination of like a lot of fire and earth in here, right? So this one, it's possible to follow output or use output to reduce the amount of fire, right? So the rivals does have a very negative impact on her. This one being the yang fire, well rooted. This is rooted in the branch, the horse. So this one's more powerful than her. So she can sometimes I would just call this a forever loser. Not saying it from a negative perspective. I'm not calling this person. I'm not pointing fingers and say, "Oh, you're a loser for life." It's just a label that I put on to this chart saying that, oh, this is a forever loser chart. What can we do to reduce that possibility of losing all the time, right? She has earth. So even though she's a forever loser to the fire, the bigger fire, there is some hope in terms of her career, right? Because this is definitely obviously a very smart person too, right? Because the earth is rooted down here. The rabbit can affect the earth. However, there's also hidden wealth. So the hidden wealth. So no matter how much she's losing, like being a forever loser, she has hidden money. She has a lot of money in the monkey. Okay. So that's all I want to cover for today. I just want to keep it real short. So just remember the rivals. If you look back to this table, identify the rivals, understand what it does. It does rob, it does lead to affairs, and it can lead to insecurity, right? So it's almost like you're at home by yourself and you're fearful of something happening. Um, so yeah, it can the rivals can show up in the chart, it can show up in the luck cycle, it can show up in the year. So it doesn't mean that everyone can escape from rivals. Rivals are here and they will come and they will go. All right. So just because you don't have it in your chart doesn't mean that you can celebrate right now because it's going to show up in your year or in on days or month, hours, or luck cycle. All right. So that's all I have. And yeah, feel free to like this video if you like it, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will be putting up more videos in the near future. So thanks a lot for tuning in and have a nice day.